What's up, guys? Today we're gonna install this full system Akrapovic exhaust on this brand new 2020 Panigale V4. And since we're removing so many components on this bike, we're also gonna go ahead and install the Light-Tech rear sets, and we're also gonna go ahead and perform the first service on this bike. So we got the 4 quarts of oil, we got the rubber seals in the washer, and the oil filter. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit that bell icon so you get notified, because I will be posting 3 separate videos on how to do each one, starting with the full system exhaust. All right, once you have the seat removed and the fairings removed, you can go ahead and proceed with removing the fuel tank. You're gonna have to disconnect drain pipes on the left side. You're gonna have to disconnect the fuel line on the right, and then when you remove the tank, you're gonna have to disconnect the connector that plugs to the fuel pump. And at that point, you're gonna be left with this bare bones Panigale V4. You can kind of see the inner workings of this beautiful machine. All right, next you remove the rear subframe. There's 2 bolts in the middle, and then there's 2 bolts in the outside. And don't forget to disconnect the rear lambda sensor. So once you remove all those 4 bolts, the rear subframe comes right off. All right, so once you have the rear subframe off, probably a good idea at this point to remove the rear central heat guards. And once you remove those 4 screws, make sure you keep the screws in the washers, because you're going to reuse that later when you install the new heat guards that comes with the Acra kit. Working on the right side of the bike, we're going to go ahead and remove that exhaust valve motor. There's a total of 3 nuts that holds that whole assembly, and then we're going to disconnect that plug right there, and that whole piece comes off. All right, moving to the rear, we're going to go ahead and remove the 6 nuts that's holding that rear exhaust manifold. All right, so I decided to remove the front wheel just to give myself more space to work on that front exhaust manifold. So you basically remove your front calipers, and then you can go ahead and proceed with removing the front wheel. And then also need to disconnect your oil delivery pipe, and then the same goes for the right side for the radiator. Next, you would remove the 2 screws on each side that's holding the radiator assembly, and that way it'll give you more space to work on that front side when you're working on that front exhaust manifold. All right, at this point, perfect timing to start unboxing all the content of the Akrapovic kit. One of the things that you'll notice when you're removing each of these content is just how much lighter they are compared to all of the parts that you remove from the bike. So there's just a big difference in weight. So I was very impressed of just how lightweight each of these parts were on the Akrapovic kit compared to all of the stock components that I just removed. All right, what we're doing here is we're doing some pre-assembly. So we would pre-assemble the clips to the exhaust manifolds, and there's also some rubber blocks that needs to be pre-fitted, and perfect time to put your front and rear oxygen sensors, and then at that point you can go ahead and start fitting your front cylinder head manifolds. Also, when you're putting that front exhaust manifold, don't forget to put the heat shields. There's the front and back heat shield that goes on the front of that front exhaust manifold. So make sure you put that on there before you start securing the 6 nuts. Here I was just looking for spacing, just wanted to see if there's any gaps around the exhaust valves. But again, you would put the front and rear heat shields first on there before you secure those 6 nuts. All right, fitting the rear exhaust manifold using the 6 exhaust nuts. And at this point, you would basically connect all of the pipes together using the long springs that came with the kit. you make sure you torque the brake caliper bolts. These are 45 Newton meters, and also the wheels 63 Newton meters. So I'm going to go ahead and just torque these up. All right, so the rear subframe is back on. All it is the two bolts here, and you would bolt these 3 Allens down here, and then these 2 bolts on each side right here in the corner, right there and right there. So you'd actually have to bolt them in sequence, starting with the top bolts. Then you would go ahead and secure the heat shield, which is under here, and then you would bolt the 2 torque bolts. So next we're going to take out the stock air filter. The Akrapovic system comes with an high flow air filter, so we're going to go ahead and remove the stock air filter and put the new one in. All right, now that the rear subframe is back on, you're just going to reconnect everything and get some zip ties to make sure that there's no loose wires and everything is nice and tight and out of the way. And finally, it's time to put on the mufflers. There's a left muffler right here for the left side. And then you've got the right side muffler with the nice carbon fiber shield on there. And what you would do is you would use the short springs to secure each of these mufflers. There's going to be 2 springs for each muffler. There's this piece here that actually sits behind this rear set. It's part of the stock exhaust, so it fits behind this rear set here. So what you do is you basically loosen these 2 bolts, loosen these 2 bolts here that holds the left rear set, and you basically put 2 spacers that's supplied with the kit behind these 2 bolts. So that basically gives you the clearance that this bracket originally had. And again, the whole purpose is you no longer need this this bottom half here. This is part of the stock exhaust that we no longer need for the Akrapovic. All right, so this is how your tank drain pipe should look. So I went ahead and used the 31.5-inch drain pipe that was supplied with the kit, and basically have it routed right here. It's going to be routed like this. And then you've got the reservoir drain pipe. What you do is you use a 38.5-inch drain pipe that was supplied with the kit, and you're going to route it to the right side of the bike. So this is how it should look. So this is how it looks on the right hand side, that reservoir drain pipe that started from the left. And basically all you're going to do is use this rubber tie and tie it with this tube here, and it's basically going to hang out here to the right. Okay, and then the lower fairings, the one that you need to buy from Ducati, I believe has tubes. I haven't opened the box yet, but I believe these would plug in on through the lower fairing and then drains out. So basically with the Acra exhaust, you'll need to purchase new lowers. All right, once you have the lowers, so starting with the right, the heat shield would go right here, and then the left side fairing, I figured it'd be going this way on the left side fairing. All right, the full system Akrapovic exhaust is installed on the Panigale V4. Next step is we need to take it to the Ducati dealer so they can upload the Acra map, and then we'll be able to take it out for a spin and see how she sounds.